Hey-ya, hey-ya, see below. Hey-ya, hey-ya, storm wind blow.
Chapter 7. Medicine enough to stand. Sinara heard the harbor go quiet. That was worse than shouting. Shouting meant anger still had air. Quiet meant something had landed. Quiet meant a wound had found bone. She stood in the workhouse courtyard with a clean bowl in both hands and listened to hundreds of people not speaking. The night held the capital in pieces. Lamps burned along the lower roads. The sea breathed below the hill. A child coughed inside the workhouse and settled when Airy murmured to him. Morel dragged a knife across a stone near the medicine shelf. Though the blade had been sharp for an hour, Sinara should have told him to stop. She did not. The sound gave her something simple to hate. Steel on stone, edge on grit, pressure, angle. Result, a dull thing made useful. People were less obedient. The harbor silence broke by degrees. First a voice, too far for words, then several, then a low stirring, like people waking after bad news. Work resumed. Rope dragged. Wood knocked. Someone shouted for water jars. Someone else answered with a curse. The leaving bell did not ring again. Sinara set the bowl on the bench beside her and looked toward the lower road. Tavaro had not come back. That meant either he had listened and left the docks before doing something foolish, or he had not listened and was currently becoming a public disaster under moonlight. His body could not bear either option. She knew that with the calm certainty of fingers on pulse, his ribs were bound too soon after fracture. The lower one had already shifted once. The venom in his thigh was no longer advancing. But numb muscle had a habit of pretending strength had returned until weight proved otherwise. His wrist seam had been stitched under poor conditions, strained by a walk he should not have taken, then exposed to the rootstaff's pressure. If he had stood too close to Oren, the line would have fought the staff. If the line fought the staff, Tavaro's body would pay before his pride noticed. Morel sharpened the knife again. Sinara turned. Enough. He stopped. The young man did not look embarrassed. That worried her. Embarrassment meant a person still had room for other people inside himself. Morel looked hollow around the eyes. His mouth held flat in the way grief mistook for discipline. "Do you need the blade?" he asked. "No." "Then why did you ask for it sharpened?" "I asked for all blades sharpened, in case Tavaro comes back." "In case anyone comes back." His jaw tightened at Tavaro's name. Sinara crossed the courtyard and took the knife from him. He let her, which told her he had wanted to be stopped. "Your mother hated dull tools," she said. Morel's face changed. There. Cruel, maybe. Necessary, yes. Grief with no named door wandered into worse rooms. She said a dull tool made the hand lie. Morel looked down at his empty hands. "She said that to you?" "She said it to anyone foolish enough to hold a poor edge in her sight. I was 12 and had ruined a reed cutter." His breath shook once. Sinara set the knife on the shelf. "Go wash the fever cups. They are clean. Then make them cleaner." He nodded and went inside. Sinara watched him cross to the basin. His hands shook when he lifted the first cup. He did not drop it. Good. A healer counted tiny survivals. The workhouse had been built for exactly that. Not miracles, not prophecy, not the gestures singers could stretch over firelight. A boy not dropping a cup. A mother swallowing broth after birth. An old fisherman sleeping on his left side because the right lung needed help. A broken skin edge staying closed through the night. The great work could keep breath inside a body. It could not keep a person inside a life. A footstep scraped beyond the gate. Sinara turned before the second came. Tavaro entered without ceremony. That told her almost everything. He did not fill the gate with a grin. He did not knock his knuckles against the post and announce himself as if the workhouse had been waiting for entertainment. He did not carry wreckage, dead monster pieces, stolen fruit, or some other proof that pain had lost to comedy. He simply stepped in, too pale under sun-dark skin, left leg dragging, right hand clamped over the bandage at his wrist. Blood had soaked through his fingers. Sonara walked to him. She did not run. Running would make him smile. Smiling would cost breath. Breath was already in short supply. He looked up as she reached him. "I did not hit anyone." His voice was hoarse. Sonara took his wrist. "That is the first useful thing you have said tonight. I considered several excellent speeches. Did any survive?" "No." "Good. Hold still." He held still. That frightened her. She pulled his fingers away from the bandage. Blood had passed through the outer wrap and darkened the inner cloth, not spurting, seeping under pressure from torn tissue and magic irritation. The stitches beneath had likely held in part. The sheath around the skybone line had not. "Inside," she said. "I can walk. You can leak and lean. Walking is generous. That hurts. Your wrist? My reputation?" She looked at his face. The joke sat there alone, unsupported by his eyes. Sonara slid his arm over her shoulders. He let her. That was another bad sign. Tavaro accepted help when he was unconscious, fevered, or too wounded to hide need before it touched him. He made it 3 steps into the courtyard before his left knee failed. Sonara braced. His weight hit her shoulder hard enough to force air from her chest. He caught the gatepost with his free hand and tried to pull away. "Do not," she said. "I nearly had that. You nearly crushed both of us. I would have fallen around you." "How noble." "With style." "Your style is bleeding on my foot." He looked down. Blood had dripped onto her toes. "Ah," he said, "I have made you festive." She guided him to the stone bench. The motion took longer than it should have. Every step told her something she did not want to know. He was worse after the dock, not from blows, from standing under too much attention, too much shame, too much root-staff pressure, and too much stubbornness. He lowered himself onto the bench with care. Care did not save him. The last hand width broke. He landed hard, breath catching in a clean, sharp stop. Sonara's hand went to his side at once. "Rib?" He nodded once. "Which breath?" "The rude one." "Tavaro." He closed his eyes. "Lower left." Shifted when I turned. Turned toward... what? Oren, of course. She crouched and pressed along the binding. His body flinched before he did. The rib had not pierced. Still near enough to make her mouth go dry. The binding had loosened from movement and sweat. It would need to be reset. His skin was cold at the sides, hot near the mark. The child mark sat under cloth, invisible and present. Sonara hated that she thought of it as present. A mark was changed tissue. Old force, scar. It had no face, no voice, no reason. Still, she knew when Tavaro was arguing with it. Tonight, the argument had gone badly. "What happened?" she asked. He laughed once. It was a short sound, all edge. "Oren called me beautiful." Sonara looked up. Tavaro stared at the courtyard stones. "Then he ruined it." The words took a moment. Beautiful cage. She knew before he said it. She felt the phrase in the shape of him, in the way his shoulders held inward, in the way his good hand had curled against his thigh, as if preventing itself from reaching for something breakable. He said that in front of them. "Yes. And you?" Breathed badly. "Only that. I offered them an island." Her eyes closed before she could stop them. "Tavaro." "I offered a large one," he said. "Very fine. Springs, forest, proper reefs, deep channel, enough room for their children to complain about having too much room. That is not the point. I noticed." She opened her eyes. He looked smaller than his body. It was the only way she could name it. The body remained enormous, scarred, blood-marked, full of old oath and raw power. The person inside it had folded around a sentence. "I thought room would answer room," he said. Sonara kept her voice flat, because tenderness could undo them both. "They do not want another island from you." They kept saying room. "They want to stop hearing your body in the ground." His jaw tightened. She should not have said it yet. She should have waited until he was lying down and warm, until bleeding had stopped, until his pulse was less sharp. No, kinder times did not come. They were made by people who could afford them. Tavaro nodded once, slow. "Yes," he said. Oren explained. She unwound the wrist bandage. The cloth peeled away, wet. The seam beneath had opened along the top edge. Her stitches still held where they crossed flesh. Around them the skin had darkened to a bruised red. The lined sheath glimmered in a narrow place no mortal body should have possessed. Sonara swore. Tavaro's mouth moved. That sounded medical. Be quiet. It had rhythm. Quiet. He obeyed. A third bad sign. She cleaned the seam with boiled salt water. His fingers twitched when the cloth touched the wound, then went still. She pressed 2 fingers to the inside of his wrist, counting pulse. Fast. Too fast under the tiredness. Body strain, pain, blood loss, and something else. A fine tremor in the tendon where the skybone line shifted below the wound. The staff was close, she said. Yes? How close? Close enough to be rude. How close? He looked toward the harbor, though the courtyard wall blocked it. Oren stood within a few paces. Sonara pressed her lips together. He glanced down. You are doing the mouth. I have many mouths. No, that one. It means you are choosing which truth will hurt most. The truth has options tonight. Pick one with good posture. She reached for the deep needle kit. If you stand near the root staff again with this seam open, the line may tear through the stitches. That would be inconvenient. It may tear through the arm. He went still. That was the one, he said. What? The truth with posture. She threaded the needle. Good. Remember it. I remember everything you say while holding needles. Then you should be wiser. I remember. I do not promise you. Eri appeared at the doorway with a folded linen stack. Her eyes widened at the wrist. Sonara did not look away from Tavaro. Heat stones. Bitter root. Blue jar. No apprentices near the gate. Eri swallowed. There are people outside. Of course there are. They followed him. Tavaro closed his eyes. Sonara heard them now. Not a crowd like the dock. Smaller. Several people on the road, whispering, watching, waiting to learn whether the beautiful cage had cracked. Tell them the workhouse is closed, unless they are bleeding, Sonara said. Eri nodded. Tavaro opened one eye. That may invite creativity. If anyone cuts himself to enter, I will assign Marel to lecture him on blade respect. That boy frightens me. He should. Eri went to the gate. Sonara set the first new stitch. Tavaro's hand closed on his own knee. His fingers dug into the muscle. He did not make a sound. She made the second stitch, smaller, tighter, passing through scar tissue rather than the newest tear. Scar could hold when fresh skin lied. Her hands knew the seam now better than any part of Tavaro should have been known by another person. Angle pull. Stop before the line sheath recoiled. Warm the edge, close the flesh, leave room for swelling. There were no songs about leaving room for swelling. Good. What did Lapo say? She asked. The needle paused above the wound. Tavaro's eyes moved to her face. Tell me, she said. He said he asked for me during the fever. Sonara felt the old sick room rise around her. Lapo's cracked mouth, his hands clawing weakly at the mat. Water, drop by drop. Tavaro absent. Oren absent, until he returned with the staff. She pulled the stitch through. Tavaro breathed in through his teeth. He said I was not there, Tavaro continued. The thread tightened. He is not wrong. No. Did he say goodbye? The question left her before she could harden it. Tavaro heard the softness. His face shifted, and for one terrible moment she hated him, because he pitied her. No, he said. I told him he had to tell you himself. And Oren called him back. The needle bent in her fingers. Sonara looked down. Another needle ruined. She set it aside carefully because throwing it would not mend anything. Her hand wanted to shake. She made it reach for another needle instead. Bodies could be trained, even your own. Oren called him, she said. Yes. Lapo when? Yes. Did he choose to go? Tavaro said nothing. She looked up. His silence answered badly. The staff? She asked. I do not know. That is not enough. I know. She began the next stitch. The courtyard blurred, then sharpened. She did not have time for tears. Tears were a body cleaning itself too late. Oren had called Lapo away, perhaps with voice, perhaps with staff, perhaps both. Sonara could not picture it cleanly. because clean pictures belonged to people who had not loved the ones inside them. Oren, who had taught her how to listen to ribs. Lapo, who had built a crooked shelf and lied badly about fever. Tavaro, who sat bleeding under her needle because she had asked him to do the impossible and then watched him fail. No one was simple enough to hate without effort. That enraged her. Did you threaten them? She asked. No. Did they raise weapons? Yes. Her head snapped up. At you. I was the nearest problem. What did you do? Corrected their grips. Tavaro. I lifted my hands. She searched his face. He let her. Truth. Or near enough. She tied the stitch. How many ships? Too many. How many people? Too many. Do not make me ask like a fool. He rubbed his eyes with the heel of his left hand. 3 deep hulls. 8 outriders. 2 guideboats. 4 fishing hulls they have insulted by naming them seacraft. More lashed pairs near the shallow dock. Between 4 and 600, if every family boards. The number entered her body before her mind. 400 at least. 600 perhaps. The workhouse could not hold 1/10 of that. The harbour could not grieve that many without becoming a grave itself. And food? She asked. Some. Not enough for delay. Enough if weather loves them, monsters sleep, and the sea develops mercy. His mouth twisted. She finished the final stitch and packed salve over the seam. You saw no chance? I saw many chances. All poor. The best? He was quiet long enough that she looked up. The answer had already hurt him. That told her it would hurt her too. Let them sail, he said, with someone above them. Her hands went still. Tavaro, someone who can read water from height. Kill what rises before it reaches the hulls. Break storms if they gather wrong. Pull children from water if a boat splits. Yes? The words sat between them. She had known it already. Of course she had. Her mind had stepped around it all evening, refusing to look because once seen, it would become a shape she could not pretend was absent. Tavaro could not stop the far-bound without proving Oren right. He could follow. He could guard. He could bleed at a distance for people who had named him Cage. And because they would not know, they would owe him nothing. Senra hated the mercy of that. She hated the danger. She hated him for offering it without offering. As if his body were one more tool she could reach for from a shelf. You cannot fly, she said. I can call the hawk mark, with 3 broken ribs, a torn line seam, venom deadness in the left thigh, blood loss, and what may be the beginning of line fever. Yes, you cannot fly. I did not say it would be pleasant. You will fall into the sea. I know the sea. The sea knows how to kill you. It has been slow. She stood so fast, her knees cracked. Do not make this into a joke. His eyes lifted to hers. I know what I am saying. No? You know what you are offering. You do not know what happens after because you stop counting when the broken body is yours. That is unfair. It is exact. He looked down. Good. Let it land. Let something land before medicine made pain distant enough to seem unimportant. Eri returned with the heatstones and set them nearby. She looked at Senara, then Tavaro, then the gate. The road is clear, she said. Mostly, Tavaro murmured. A fine medical term? Eri almost smiled, then remembered the blood and stopped. Senara took the covered bowl. Inside. Wake Toma. I need the red chest. Eri's eyes widened. The standing medicines? Yes. Tavaro looked up. No. Senara ignored him. Eri hesitated. Which drawer? Second. The wrapped packets. Bring the green cord packet, the black shell vial, and the dry spoon. Eri ran. Tavaro watched her go. Senara, do not. That medicine is for men who need to finish a journey before collapse. Yes. And then collapse. Yes, I am already enjoying the sequence out of order. You need to stand. He stared at her. She hated that he understood before she fully did. No, he said. You just told me your best chance. My best chance is a bad chance. It is still the best? No. That almost made her laugh. After everything, after all his bleeding and bargaining and offers to raise islands while half-broken, now he chose caution because she had made the cost sound like permission. Sinara folded the used cloth with too much care. I am not asking you to fly after them tonight. Then what are you doing? Keeping choices from closing. Healer answer. Yes. Frightened answer. Her hand struck his face before thought crossed the space. The sound was small. The courtyard went silent. Inside, someone dropped a cup. Sinara's palm stung. Tavaro's head had barely moved. The slap had hurt her more than him, and both of them knew it. His eyes returned to hers slowly. There was no anger in them. That was worse. Do not sit on my bench bleeding through my work and name me frightened as if you found something hidden, she said. Her voice shook once and steadied. I am frightened. Lapo is packing himself onto a ship under green light. Oren is holding the staff that saved him and may own him. You are talking about flying on broken ribs, because 600 people are about to leave the roots. Yes, I am frightened. That does not make me wrong. Tavaro swallowed. I am sorry, he said. She believed him. It did not fix anything. Eri came back with the red chest in both arms and froze at the courtyard edge. Her gaze went to Tavaro's cheek, then Sinara's hand. Sinara held out her palm. The packet. Eri brought it. The red chest had belonged to Sinara's mother. Before that, to her mother's mother. It was not part of Tavaro's cedar records. That mattered. It had been made for mortal crises. Women bleeding through birth, runners crossing storm roads with broken ankles, fever house workers who had to stay upright until someone else learned the cups, old captains steering through weather because fear had not yet taught the young. Sinara had always liked that about it. Then she opened it for him. The medicines inside were used when the body needed to be forced past honest refusal. A little could sharpen breath, raise heat, make pain stand at a distance, and wait its turn. Too much could turn judgment thin. Too much could make a frightened body brave in the ugliest way. In ordinary patients, the signs were known. Sweating, dry tongue, wide eyes, pulse hard enough to worry the wrist, tremor in the jaw, anger near the surface. In Tavaro, no sign obeyed long enough to be trusted. His divine body burned through some drugs, as if insulted, held others for days, and once changed a fever draft into a rash shaped like small fish along his left arm. He had been proud of that. Sinara opened the green cord packet. The powder inside was dull red, ground from wake thorn seed, storm kelp ash, dried bitter root, and a mineral scraped from black reef after lightning storms. It smelled of pepper, burnt salt, and old rain. Tavaro leaned away. That smells like a mistake. It often is comforting. Do you want comfort? His eyes moved toward the harbor. No, neither of them did. Sinara tapped a small measure into the dry spoon. Not enough? For a mortal his weight, yes. For Tavaro, likely nothing more than a clearer headache. She remembered the sleeping draught he had mocked by waking early, the fever leaf he had burned through in an hour, the blue moss that had nearly stopped his heart because his body decided to obey that one with frightening enthusiasm. No rule held. She added half again. Stop. Her fingers hovered over the packet. The right choice was to close it. The right choice was to bind him to a mat if needed, stand at the gate, and let Lapo sail with whatever gods and grief had made of him. The right choice was to refuse the lie that a body made strong enough could solve a choice already broken. She heard the harbor below. 400, 600, children in baskets, bad rigging, fishing hulls lashed in pairs. Lapo turning when Oren called him. Oren with the root staff. Tavaro standing in front of them, speechless after the one phrase that had found him. Beautiful cage. Sinara added another small measure. Eri made a tiny sound. Sinara looked at her. The apprentice closed her mouth. Good. Sinara poured the powder into hot, bitter root water. The liquid darkened to rust. She stirred until no grain clung to the bowl. Then she added 3 drops from the black shell vial. Tavaro watched her. What is that? Something to keep the heart from running too hard. Will it? In you? I do not know. He smiled faintly. Your honesty has lost charm. It was never charm. She held the bowl out. He did not take it. That frightened her more than if he had swallowed without question. What will it do? He asked. Move pain aside, not remove it. Not heal it. Move it aside. That sounds useful. It is dangerous. Yes? That was the useful part. Tavaro. He looked up. She crouched in front of him. Bowl between them. Listen. This does not heal the rib. It does not close the wrist. It does not make the hawk mark safe. It does not make the skybone line safe near the rootstaff. I hear you. No. You hear warnings as weather. I need you to hear this as law. His face changed at that. Law was mortal. Law had to be chosen, recorded, enforced by hands that could fail. Tavaro treated gods as facts and monsters as tasks. Mortal law unsettled him, because it asked him to stand inside limits set by people he could break. Sinara pressed the bowl into his hands. One bowl, she said. No more, unless I give it. He looked at the bowl. Say it. One bowl? No calling a mark, unless death is already in the room. A tired smile tugged at his mouth. Death has poor manners. It rarely waits for rooms. Say it. No mark, unless death is already in the room. No skybone line near the staff. His hand flexed around the bowl. Say it. His eyes did not leave hers. No skybone line near the staff. Speak to Lup. Yes, speak to Oren. Only if you can remember, he is a man. The words struck him. She saw it. Good. Let that one stay close. He nodded. Oren is a man. Say the rest. He closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his gaze had gone raw. Not a monster. Not a task. Not something in the way. Sinara breathed in. It did not fill her. Drink. He drank slowly, because she watched. The first swallow made him grimace. The second tightened the muscles along his jaw. By the third, sweat had risen at his temple. Not from heat. The medicine acted fast. Too fast. His body took it like dry ground, taking rain after drought. Tavaro lowered the empty bowl. For several breaths, nothing happened. Then his shoulders eased, not in health, in release. Pain had stepped away from his face. The lines around his eyes loosened. His breathing widened by a fraction because the rib still blocked it. But the fear of the rib had moved aside. His left hand opened on his knee. Sinara touched his throat. Pulse hard, fast, not yet alarming. His eyes were clearer, too clear. Well, she asked. He looked at his wrist, as if it belonged to someone across the courtyard. That hurts. How much? Enough to know you are right. Not enough to respect it. Her stomach tightened. Too strong, or exactly what she had made. Eri whispered. Sinara, I know. Tavaro stood. Sinara rose with him. He swayed once, then found balance. The limp remained, though less obvious because he no longer protected the pain. That meant he would damage the leg more easily. His rib breath stayed shallow. His wrist bandage remained clean for now. He looked almost well if one did not know bodies. Sinara knew bodies. The medicine had not repaired him. It had removed his body's power to argue. Sit down, she said. He looked puzzled. You gave me standing medicine to test. That is a cruel name. Sit. He sat. Too quickly. She saw the rib take the motion and failed to slow him. His mouth tightened after the fact. There, judgment lagged. She should bind him to the bench. She should. Instead, she took the packet and folded it closed, then tied the green cord around it. Tavaro watched. Do not give me that, he said. Then do not take it. Tidy. She held it out. He did not reach. For a long moment, neither moved. The packet lay across her palm, no larger than a folded leaf, heavy as a body. This is one more half-dose, she said. Only if you cannot return, and someone else will die, unless you stay upright. Sinara. Not for speeches, not for Oren, not for shame. His eyes shifted. She had touched the true wound. Not rib, not wrist. Shame. The medicine would ride shame like wind over open water if she let it. Say it, she said. His voice was low. Not for shame. She gave him the packet. His fingers closed around it. Eri looked from one to the other. She had gone pale. Sinara wanted to send her away, then realized the girl should see this. Not all of it. Enough. Apprentices needed to know that healers did not always stand in clean light. Sometimes they measured the wrong thing carefully and still handed it over. Tavaro tucked the packet into the cloth at his waist. "What now?" he asked. The medicine had sharpened his voice. That worried her. It gave him back the sound people trusted. Strong, warm, nearly amused. A body could lie through posture. Medicine could make the lie look like recovery. "Now you wait until I check the rib again," he groaned. "I have been drugged, and still you find room for poking. You have been medicined. Drugged is what fools call it after they ignore instructions. Will I be a fool before dawn? That is up to you." He looked toward the lower road. "No," she said. "I did not move." Your attention limped toward the gate. "My attention is independent." "Then call it back." He did, or appeared to. Senara reset the rib binding. This time she used longer cloth and cross-wrapped it around his shoulder to limit sudden turns. He complained in small, creative ways. The medicine made the complaints brighter, less weary, closer to the Tavaro people recognized. That chilled her more than his earlier silence. A wounded man who looked wounded invited caution. A wounded Tavaro who looked almost himself invited catastrophe. She tied the last knot and pressed 2 fingers under the cloth to check tightness. "Breathe." He did. Again, he did. The second breath caught less, because he let it stop early. I saw that. It was a modest breath. It was a coward breath. His gaze flicked to her. She lifted a brow. He laughed, then winced, then pointed at her. That was revenge. That was instruction. Both can be true. People keep telling me this tonight. People are improving. They are getting mouthy. They learned from you. He looked down at the packet, tucked at his waist, the humor thin. "No," she said. His eyes came back to hers. "Do not look at that packet like it is courage." He swallowed. "It is borrowed time," she said. "Borrowed things come back for payment. I know. You think you know. That is not the same as knowing." For one breath, the medicine did not cover his face. Pain returned. Not rib pain, not line pain, older. "I do not know how else to pay," he said. Senara had no answer that would fit in the time left. She wanted to say that no one had asked him to pay. That would be a lie. Everyone asked. The Sulari asked with prayers, songs, threats, knees, ships, fear, and gratitude. She had asked, too. She had placed medicine in his hands and measured the dose herself. "Start by not killing anyone," she said. Tavaro stared at her. It was a brutal sentence. It was also the only one that mattered. He nodded. Maril appeared at the inner doorway. "The fever cups are clean." "Good," Senara said without looking away from Tavaro. Marel's gaze moved to the packet at Tavaro's waist, then the bowl, then Senara's face. He knew enough medicine to understand the shape of what she had done. His mouth tightened. Senara met his eyes. "Say it." He froze. "Whatever is sitting behind your teeth. Say it." Marel looked at Tavaro. Fear passed over him, then anger, then shame at the fear. "My mother did not get standing medicine," he said. The courtyard went still. Senara did not breathe. Marel's voice shook, then hardened. "You said it would cook her heart. You said making her feel strong would not make her live." Senara remembered. Of course she remembered. His mother on the north mat, pale lips, dry tongue, pulse hammering too hard already. Marel kneeling beside her with both hands around a cup he kept offering after she could no longer swallow. Senara had refused the red chest because the fever had already put too much strain on the heart. Standing medicine would have made the end uglier. She had been right. That did not help Marel. "You are correct," she said. "I said that." And him. Tavaro went very still. Senara set the empty bowl down. "Tavaro's body is different." Marel laughed once. "Of course it is." Marel, "No. I know. He gets different medicine, different rules, different chances. He always has," Eri whispered. "That is not fair." Marel turned on her. "Yes, it is." Senara lifted a hand. Both apprentices fell silent. She could order Marel out. She could remind him of place, rank, grief, training. She could say that a healer weighed each body by condition, not worth. She could defend herself with accuracy and lose the truth. Tavaro spoke first. He is right. Sinara closed her eyes. Marel looked startled. Tavaro did not look at him. Not about the medicine. I do not know enough to be useful there. About the rest, the courtyard held the words. Tavaro flexed his right hand slowly, testing the bandaged seam. People hold me together because they think I still have work to do. Morel's anger faltered. Sinara watched Tavaro with a cold drop inside her chest. The medicine was already loosening what pain usually guarded. Not only strength, speech too. Shame had less cover. Truth came closer to the surface. And truth, without timing, could be as harmful as fever. Morel said, "Then why do you get to stand?" Tavaro looked at him then. The boy did not step back. Good boy, Sinara thought, with a grief that surprised her. I should not, Tavaro said. Someone asked me. Morel's eyes flicked to Sinara. She felt the look like a blade pressed flat against skin. There it was, complicity. Cleanly named by a grieving apprentice who had every right to hate the shape of it. I did, she said. Morel stared at her. Because Lapo is leaving, Sinara said. Because hundreds are leaving. Because the sea beyond the roots will kill many if no one who knows it goes after them. Because I am afraid. Because every choice left is ugly, and I chose this ugly thing. Morel's lips parted. No sound came. Do you want me to call it pure? She asked. He shook his head once. Good. He still preferred truth then. I will not, she said. Now go inside. If any patient wakes, give water first. If any fever rises, call me. If anyone asks where Tavaro is, you do not know. Morel looked at Tavaro again. Tavaro inclined his head. Not a bow, not title, something smaller. Morel turned and went inside. Eri stood frozen near the chest. Sinara looked at her. You too. The girl obeyed. When they were alone, Tavaro said, Your apprentices are terrifying. They learn from the best. From you? From bodies? He nodded, as if that made sense. The medicine had brought color back to him. Too much. His eyes were bright. His skin warm at the throat. Pulse still hard when she checked it again. The line tremor had settled for now. Though the wrist remained tender under bandage, he could stand. He could walk. He might even fly, if desperation made him foolish. She had made that possible. No, she had made it easier. The difference mattered. The difference was not enough. Tavaro rose again. This time he moved with less care. Sinara caught his arm. Slow. He looked surprised by the grip. I feel better. You are worse with better painted over it. That is almost poetic. It is medical poetry. Sinara, you grow as an artist. She released him. Where are you going? First, the lower road, then the root house. No, he looked at her. You said speak to Lapo, she said. Not Oren. Not the staff. Lapo is with Oren. Then wait for him to leave. He may not. Then send for him. He may not come. Then do not go. His expression settled into something calm and awful. The medicine had not created that calm. It had stripped away the pain that would have made it look desperate. I cannot follow the fleet blind, he said. If I am going after them, I need the route. I need what Oren thinks he saw. I need to know whether the staff points to land or only to wanting. Then ask me to come. He shook his head. No, because I will stop you. Because you will see Oren before I do. The answer hit too close to mercy. Sinara looked toward the gate. Oren would be in the root house before dawn, or near the docks, or moving between the two with the staff and his failing body held upright by green certainty. If she went, he would speak to her as he had spoken in fever years, when she was young and furious and still believed instruction could save them from all errors. He would say her name. Lapo would be there, perhaps. Lapo would not say goodbye, unless forced. Could she face both and still think? She did not know. Tavaro knew she did not know. That was why he was leaving alone. You are making yourself necessary again, she said. He gave a faint smile. Am the first? I am better at that than standing still. Tavaro, his smile faded. You do not have to earn the right to come back alive. He looked at her for a long time. The courtyard lamp flickered in his eyes. His pupils were wider than they should have been. Medicine, exhaustion, shame, rootstaff echo, all of it mixed in a body that had never obeyed clean categories. Are you certain? He asked. She had no answer. That was the worst wound she had dealt him all night. He saw the truth before she could cover it. She wanted him alive. She also wanted Lapo alive. She wanted 600 people not to vanish into more deep water. She wanted Oren free of whatever the rootstaff had made of him. She wanted her own hand unstained by the choice she had already made. Want had become a room with too many locked doors. Tavaro stepped back. The space between them felt formal. I will speak first, he said. First is not enough. I will try to keep speaking. Try harder. I will. Do not touch the staff. No skybone line. No skybone line. No mark unless death is in the room. Yes. If the medicine makes anger feel easy, stop. He went still. That one reached him. Sonara pressed it in. Easy anger is usually being fed by something else. Tavaro nodded slowly. You should have told Oren that. I did. He called it caution. Lapa. I told him too. He called it fear. Tavaro breathed out. Everyone is very committed to poor listening. You are going to join them if you keep walking. He looked toward the gate. His body wanted motion now. She saw it. The medicine moved through muscle and nerve, making stillness feel wrong. Standing medicine always did that. It turned waiting into an itch. In Tavaro, with the hawk mark along his shoulders and the skybone line under skin, the itch looked almost like purpose. Too much medicine, too much shame, too little time. Sonara stepped to the shelf and took a small clay disc from a bowl. It had the veil hand mark pressed into it. Thumb imperfect because the mold was old. She put it in Tavaro's palm. He frowned. A charm? A reminder? I thought you distrusted charms. I distrust fools who think charms replace action. This replaces nothing. What does it remind me? She closed his fingers around it, then made him open them again. He looked down at the open hand. The line of his throat moved once. She almost touched his face, where she had slapped him. She did not. That would ask too much of both of them. Come back, she said. He closed his fist around the disc. Sonara, he said. And for one moment the swagger, title, wound, and medicine all fell away. Only the child the sea had not kept stood there, grown huge and still asking the wrong question with his whole body. Will I be wanted if I fail? She could not answer it. She could only give the truth she had. Come back without blood, it is not yours. His face changed. Not enough. Perhaps it could never be enough. He turned and walked to the gate. The first steps were controlled. The next less so. The medicine smoothed the limp without healing it, made his shoulders square, though his ribs could not bear the shape, made him look from behind like Tavaro of the far wake again. That was the danger. The night would see a hero walking. Sonara saw a patient leaving with a torn seam, broken ribs, venom weakness, a packet of red medicine at his waist, and shame burning cleaner than any fever she knew how to treat. At the gate, he paused. He did not look back. If Lapo comes here before I return, he said, do not let him leave without eating. The sentence nearly broke her. Go, she said. He went. Sonara stood in the courtyard until the lower road swallowed the sound of his steps. Then she picked up the empty bowl. A red smear clung to the bottom, where the powder had not fully dissolved. She rubbed it with her thumb until it spread across the clay like old blood. Inside the workhouse, a patient coughed. Sonara washed the bowl, dried her hands, and went back to the living.
Bowl in the dark, steel on stone in a silent shore. Blood on the foot, red in the cup. The healer knows what strength is for. The heart harbor went quiet. That was worse than a cry. Sinara held a clean clay bowl and listened to the night. Meryl dragged the blade on the stone, grief with nowhere to land. She said, wash the fever cups, keep work inside your hands. Then Tavaro crossed the gate, no grin, no plank, no flame. Blood held tight around his wrist and ruin in his name. He said, I did not hit them. She said, hold still. The body tells the truth when the mouth has lost its will. Medicine enough to stand, not enough to heal. Move the pain aside, make the lie look real. One bow, one law, open up your hand. Not for shame, not for pride. Medicine enough to stand. Orton called him beautiful and locked the cage with sound. Tavaro offered one more shore and watched hope turn around. They want room, he whispered, she tied the linen thin. They want ground that does not hear your body hurting in it. The staff was close, his wrist had burned, the line had strained below. She said, near that green old wood your arm may split the bone. Medicine enough to stand, not enough to heal. Move the pain aside, make the lie look real. One bow, one law, open up your hand. Not for shame, not for pride. Medicine enough to stand. Red chest open, storm ash stirred, bitter root and wake thorn seed. Measure fear, name the need. No mark called unless death is here. No skybone line, hear the staff. Orin is a man, not a task. In your past, beat before the younger laughs. He drank slow, his eyes went clear, too clear for any wound pain. Step back, the hero stood in danger, filled the room. Meryl said, my mother died, no red cup in her hand. He gets different medicine, different rules to stand. Tavaro looked down at his palms and did not hide from shame. People hold me together because they still need my name. Sinara said, I chose this wrong, do not call it clean. Hundreds sail beyond the routes, and fear has teeth unseen. Medicine enough to stand, not enough to heal. Move the pain aside, make the lie look real. One bow, one law, open up your hand. Not for shame, not for blood. Medicine enough to stand. She gave him a clay hand mark, a small law made of earth. A hand can open Tavaro before it proves its worth. Come back, she said softly, with no blood that is not yours. He heard the road below him call, he heard the harbor doors. At the gate he did not turn, his voice was nearly gone. If Labo comes before